It's a great pleasure and a privilege to speak with all of you and to participate this valedictory function. First, I wanted to congratulate both Labasna as well as the National Communications Academy to co-create and to co-lead this wonderful foundation course. And congratulations for NCA for getting the highest possible award, Sarvotkrist rating award. And this combination recognizes the uncompromising standards, pedagogical innovation, and national leadership. So I wholeheartedly congratulate you for all the hard work. And I have also listened to the speeches from both of you, how much you are passionate and how you are trying to build the nation. So having said that, so they have told me about myself, but let me give you introduction so that you pay attention to what I say. I also came from a very lower middle class family. Father and mother were not educated beyond 10th standard. We used to have a small business in Andhra Pradesh. I also scored 27th rank among 60,000 students at that time in engineering and medical commons and engineering and medical common entrance examination. And then after my MBBS, I went to United States. When I went to US, my assets were minus 35 lakhs. That means we had debt at that time. Then I went to US. I did my post graduation. During that time, I built one of the finest edtech business. Then I taught at Johns Hopkins University for 5 years as a faculty. And it's a multi-billion-dollar business. And I built with literally zero mentors, zero outside capital, everything. And I built it for 25 years. Then suddenly this opportunity came to come back to India and to serve the country. So I came 1.5 years back, contested in elections from Andhra Pradesh, won with the highest majority because people trusted my story. And then luckily I was offered MOS in telecom and rural development, and here I am. So whatever I tell you, majority of this echoes similarly to what your professors have told you all this time, but it's more of a practical wisdom because telling theory is different. The reason I was successful also in what I did was I took the practical problems and presented to the professors on how to teach effectively. So that's how I was successful to start with. So whatever I'm going to tell you is going to follow the similar structure. But when I was a kid, I actually remember even today, I watched a movie. It's a cop movie, police movie. And that movie is about honest cop and how he destroys the bad people. And right after I came back from that movie, for some reason I wanted to be like the superintendent of police or somebody so that I can beat all the bad people. That's the memory I always had. I mean, that's the guiding principle. Some reason also made me to come back and work in the industry. So many of you will have a similar stories coming from the poor families like me, exceptionally talented. Talent is something probably God has given you, a gift. And then you took it to the next level by working extremely hard. And, you are chosen 200 people or something. And obviously your families are really proud of you. And today, hopefully nation is also proud of you. So always remember the reason why you came into this profession, whatever may be. I know some may have a similar stories like me, or some may have different stories. But that foundation is really important. And now I have worked with some of the brightest people in the United States while building the company. Some of these people are Harvard professors, like one Stanford faculty, and I work with all kinds of people, and there are set of principles that makes, if you follow those principles, majority of the times success is guaranteed. So I'll share you some of those, but also I have been working with the last 1.5 years with several IAS officers. Some of them are exceptional, quite passionate, just like how the private industry works, and some are, just doesn't want to do the work, just want to get away and move on with the life. But whatever you guys are here, there are few, if you look at India today, especially over the last 11 years, one after Modi ji took the office, India has recorded an unprecedented transformation and development, right? 25 crore people came out of poverty. India's GDP doubled from $2 trillion to $4 trillion. Highways expanded 60% from 91,000 kilometers to 146,000 kilometers. Metro networks expanded from 248 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers, fivefold. Airports increased from 74 to 160. Financial institution having bank accounts from 48% to today 70% of the population. These are all remarkable changes, and none of these could have happened without the support and efficiency of the bureaucracy. So this is the same people exist now, same people existed before, but it is the leadership that makes the difference. I mean, Modi ji is for India, but whichever role you are going to take, you will be guiding a similar leadership, you will be providing a similar leadership under whatever you have control. But still, India faces quite a few challenges, like especially when you start working, political interference will be there, corruption will be there, and then you may not be having a specialization because you're being moved from one place to another quickly before you try to understand, unlike private industry where you have enough time, you expertise and you deliver. And then we have a lot of infrastructural gaps in rural areas that resources would be limited. But still, despite of all those, the opportunity comes because we have challenges also, because if there are no challenges, obviously the world doesn't need the brightest people also, anybody can get away with it. So what you want to do is, how can you do this? For example, number one thing, as a civil servant, decision making, the art of velocity with wisdom. It's a key, because if you look at it, if all the bureaucrats move the files swiftly, how much GDP can we increase? According to the multiple studies, 1 to 2% of the average GDP we can increase annually. So in other words, we're probably losing if we don't maximize that. So whatever the decision making, that means closing the file, moving decisively is very important. And you will have hundreds of files, but you have to really prioritize. What are your 80% of your decision making should focus on maybe few, but that will transform the nation. And the rest of the 20% of the files, as other speakers have said, uh, due to individual small changes. But if you get boggled with all those small things, and if you cannot prioritize what is really important for your department or for the nation, then you lost the focus. So the prioritization, segmentation, and moving swiftly is the fundamental. That is what makes some people exceptional. So not deciding is the decision, and usually the worst one. So please try to avoid that. Number two, you are not hired today to be heroes. Remember this. What does that mean? You are hired to build systems so that country doesn't need heroes. So what does that mean? Whatever the system you are stepping in, your job is to strengthen that system in whatever mechanism. For example, in a resource limited settings around the world, if you have a standardized operating procedures, there is a 25 to 50% variability can be decreased in system improvement. So understanding the process, for example, Singapore's transformation from a corrupt port city to one of the world's most efficient nations occur not through exceptional individuals, but through exceptional systems. So your goal is to build those systems in whichever department you have. Document every process. Digitize ruthlessly. This is what I'll do. Paper is the graveyard of accountability. Remember this. Paper is the graveyard of accountability. So you have to digitize so that transparency will come. As a minister, I might be there in my department of post or whatever, 2.5 years, maybe 5 years. If I am lucky, maybe 7 or 10 years. But you are going to be there forever. So you know every loophole, what is happening in the system. You are the smartest people. So you are the only one who can get those to the ministers or whomever you need and close the loopholes and build the systems. Number three, innovation and experimentation. Again, you are not being hired to execute. Anybody can execute in this world. That's not the point. You are here to innovate. What does that mean? I mean, there are so many problems that we all have. Today, we need creative problem solvers. How can you think outside the box? And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be genius, even though many of you are geniuses. You don't even have to be a genius to problem solve it. All you have to have is a willpower to look at if there is a problem, consistent problem, you have to look where else this problem exists, what are the effective solutions, and how can you get those solutions here. But majority of the people don't even look at it. They don't even understand that this is a consistent problem that I have to solve. They don't take the ownership. So taking that ownership, experimentation is important. In that process, innovation means while you have your daytime responsibilities, pick a subject that's going to interest you. Because many of you, today the life expectancy is around 75 years in India, 75, maybe good healthy people 80 years. Many of you who are in 20s likely will live more than 80, 85 years easily. Why? Because the medicine is advancing exceptionally well. Many of you are going to retire at 60 years of age. You still have a 60 years today is an young age. You will still have another 20, 30 years of highly productive life. The best way to have a successful ending to your life is picking a subject that passionates you and build slowly an expertise. So even when you retire, you can join a private industry or you build something because you have monumental operational experience, human psychology, everything. So you can be highly useful. So innovating and building good relationship with the outside industry so can open up doors. And most importantly, to innovate, you have to really listen to the people of what the problem is and how to solve. So innovation is third. And number fourth, most important one that probably everyone might have talked to you, the corruption. I like how to, everybody says, try to be ethical, try to be good. These are all generic terms, I get it. But the reason why people do corruption are multiple reasons, right? One, there is a peer comparison. Everybody is doing it, so why can't we do it? It's okay. Second, there is a pressure. Even though you are honest, either your minister or someone below you or above you are forcing you to do it, right? Third, pressure. Pressure from family members, pressure from your whatever expenses, whatever you call it, because everyone else is having all those luxuries. So these are the common reasons why people, and sometimes just the greediness. So, but for example, citizens, how much money bribes were paid in 1 year? According to the Center for Media Studies in India, citizens paid 1.79 lakh crore in 1 year. This is all happens around the world at state level, whether it is police, ration, health, all that stuff. But the systems like the direct benefit transfers and all of that eliminated quite a bit of corruption. Almost 2.8 lakh corruption has been reduced. Otherwise, it would have been much higher. So this is the point of corruption. How it happens, right? You are young people. I also started as a new minister. I also experienced myself. As soon as I took the ministry, I got at least three experiences. One, my local cadre came to me. One of them brought a telecom something. I said, I'm not going to do it. Please don't bring this. And second, this is actually very interesting. Somebody, a jewelry business person, came to me and he wanted one of my department related. They did a project, so they wanted to implement. I thought, okay, so we'll listen. If there is an innovation, why can't we listen? So I gave an appointment. I listened his story, and then at the end of the meeting, he took a small necklace out of some cover. Sir, I made this for for your wife, madam. So please keep it. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you get it trapped into. I said, no, I mean, obviously, I am quite rich. Anybody can buy this. But the system is like that. And if you get carried away with those, I mean, if you do refuse three, four times, automatically the vote goes. In Delhi or any place, there are always 10% of the really honest, 10 to 20% really honest people, 10 to 20% of really what you would say the other spectrum, and 60% goes how the system goes, depending on your boss, how the system works. So what you cannot influence the bottom 20% people, but you can influence the middle 60%, because they will quickly know what kind of a person you are, and then all these things will slowly go down. That's number one. Second, just because everyone else is doing doesn't mean it is the right thing. Even if million people do the wrong thing, it is still a wrong thing. Always remember that. Third, then you will say, expenses and everything has gone up. How can I live in this? But everything, always, there is no amount of money that can solve our problems. You have to learn how to invest. Whatever the salary you get it, put 10% aside. And my suggestion would all of you participate in the global economy or India's growth story. Learn how to invest in stock market. Learn how to know different companies. And if you spend every day 1 hour for 6 months, you will really be good at knowing picking the stocks. Even if 1 to 2 years you experiment with a small amount of money, there are a lot of ways you can do dummy stocks and other stuff. Try to learn how to invest. And once you start investing after 1 year or 2 years, every month, I can guarantee you within 20 years, your wealth will be much, much bigger, and it is a right way of earning wealth. Whatever those. So take some time to learn to how to invest and how to make money in an appropriate manner. And I also tell you, what happens is sometimes when you are in the system, after some time you get, first few years most of the people will be very good. Eventually you get carried away with the system. At some point, bad people want to attract bad people, right? Good people will attract good people. Whichever the politician or somebody, if they know your weakness, they will take it as an advantage. At that time, it feels like you or the minister or the surrounding system looks amazing. Okay, I'm getting the best posting here. I am getting treated really well. At that moment, or those few years, it feels like that. In my own state, in Andhra Pradesh, that's how they did it. Couple of years back for 5 years. Now what they went out of line, extreme corruption, extreme loyalty. Some criminal politicians even make you to do the bad things, and then they will hold you for the rest of their life. So once you do the bad, your life is not under your control. So, and then what happens in Andhra Pradesh, some of those officers, they were charge sheeted, they don't have any good postings. Now they have to come back and publicly apologize. Imagine the same families that you made proud today will be suffering wherever they go. So always remember those things and try to build your life in such a way that honesty, that integrity, following dharma. I can tell you, if you really follow dharma, no one on this earth, no one can touch your peace. This is the ultimate gratification and happiness that you will get. So please remember that. And then, as I said, and the other thing is, whichever task you take, whichever posting you did, master your domain, read the act, become a subject matter expert. The minute you become a subject matter expert in your own domain, you automatically get respect from every one of the people. Respect is not something you can forcefully grab. Respect comes with your actions, your subject matter. So, and it's easy to get the subject matter expertise. Talking to stakeholders, spending some time on YouTube, or these days AI has been made it really easy for you to learn anything that you want. So bring that. And most important of all the other than these, the most important leadership is not about intelligence. A lot of people think intelligence is, just you are here because you worked hard and all that stuff. That's not your real leadership. Real leadership comes now when you go and you are the person who has to solve these problems. These non-cognitive competence outweighs sheer intelligence. What does that non-cognitive competence? Self-awareness. Self-awareness means understanding how your actions affect others, downstream effects, and being focused. Because as I said earlier, there are so many things that to work on, but what can you focus? And as others have said, teamwork. Teamwork, a lot of the times, teamwork doesn't, you cannot, as an individual, there is nothing you can do about it. See, for my own company, I built this company for 25 years. Now I came to India, I'm working morning to evening, and I have 1,000 employees, but all of them are working there. The company is running smoothly because we built the exceptional teams. It is the same thing. Teamwork means being humble, not having ego. Just because you are an IAS officer doesn't mean you should have ego. In Spanish, in North American, they say ego is not your amigo. Amigo means friend. Okay, so ego is never your friend. Ego is not your amigo. Write down in your wall somewhere. Take along all the people. You can be confident, but you cannot be arrogant. So there is a fine line between being confident and being arrogant, and let people not misinterpret that. And then as you learn through this, you will develop a lot of pattern recognition, and pattern recognition are usually accurate. Initially you won't understand what I mean, but after you start doing 10-20 years of service, you start getting some pattern recognition. Identify those pattern recognitions and try to be proactive on how to solve. And the other piece of advice that I would give you is, anytime you start making a decision, it has to be balanced between data and emotional intelligence. Because sometimes when they just get me the data, and sometimes they go with complete emotional empathy. So if you are too soft, then you are basically paralyzing the system. But if you are too data driven, you are not understanding what drives that change. Human behavior definitely requires a balance of emotional intelligence, its clarity, its humanity, and its purpose is important. There are two other things. One is the positive mindset and growth mindset. That means having the idea that problems can be solved, teams can be inspired, and progress is always possible. This positive mindset, growth mindset, is inherently aligned with the nature of this universe. So have that in the back of your mind. And there are a few other things everybody said you must have. There are a lot of people. Other things that I found valuable that nobody told me in the beginning was, know that there are people that are smarter than you, looking better than you, can speak more eloquently than you. Accept that reality. Try not to compete with people. Try to make them, if you find a smarter person than you, try to work with that person, because you both will flourish rather than getting into a negative mindset. Don't do that, because when I was 27th rank in Usmania, I go to the hospital and there are these first 10 rank people. They study maybe 70% of mine and they do much better than me. I said, how come this is possible? But it is the natural intelligence, God's gift that somebody has given for whatever reasons. So just accept that and build coalition with those people, because these are the people, especially when you are planning to become an honest integrity officer, you are going to face challenges, and at that time these people will help you. So don't treat them as competition, build coalitions. So, and then the media, somebody told me earlier, it's important. Again, everything requires balance. Whatever the hard work that you are doing, you need gratification. You need to tell people, people need to be appreciated for the hard work. If that doesn't exist, there is no reason for anybody to do a good work. So it is completely appropriate to publicize what you are doing, but it cannot be the sole criteria. You balance your work, make sure it reaches the public, but at the same time, don't make that as your main. So the result should speak louder than this thing. And then, finally, health and balance, right? That is also important. You cannot say you are busy. Okay, so I will tell you my routine. I came morning 9 o'clock, 9:30. I get up in morning, depending on the time I sleep. Around 6:37 I get up. I every day I do 20-30 minutes of exercise. Breakfast, whatever the speeches and other stuff, I'll spend half an hour. 9:30 I go to the office. 5:30, 6 I am in the department. 6 o'clock I go to badminton club in Constitutional Club. 1 hour I play. 7 o'clock I come home. 7:30 I spend my time with my family. Dinner 8 to 10 I work couple hours for my personal stuff or my US company, and then I go to bed around 10:30, 11. So there is no excuse for not doing your exercise, taking care of yourself. So try to do that. So having said that, I mean, these are all the basic things. I hope at the end of the day, as others said, do good work not for prize, but because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes it may be most unglamorous postings that creates the maximum impactful work. As Mahatma Gandhi said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of the others. So it is up to you what kind of, whatever we do, the choice is ours. Whether you want to build systems or depend on personality cults, whether you want to innovate or you want to be hiding behind the presidents, whether you want to choose honest but the difficult and long-term path or take the easy, corrupt shortcut. So choice will be yours. India doesn't require perfect officers. It needs honest, competent, decisive, and compassionate administrations who show up every day and do the hard work of building this nation. As others have said, God has given a rare gift. Serving 1.4 billion people in the world is a rarest gift. So please honor it, protect it, and never ever take it granted, as others have said. And I really wish you good luck. If you ever need any help, I am happy to give you whatever based on my experience. I can guide you. Always find good people in the society, make them mentors so that you don't have to do the same mistakes that others have done. Read some good books that have been time and again highly successful. The reason why you want to have mentors and books is mainly you don't have to do the same mistakes and learn those experiences at the age of 50, 60. So with that, and I wanted to thank you once again for all the academy, for inviting me and doing an exceptional work. Again, once again, good luck. Thank you. Jai Hind.